What's up, guys? I'm Phoenix, and you're listening to Grit City Punk.
Jiggle Productions.
Welcome to the first episode of Grit City Punk. My name is Jeremy, and I'm here to talk about the local music scene in Tacoma and Greater Pacific Northwest area. I'm not just talking about punk music, though. I'll be covering all genres of rock, alternative punk, hardcore, and metal. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I love music, and I love talking about music. There's a scene here, and I think most people in it would agree that it's special. We've got young kids still in school forming bands, playing shows, and recording music. There's an environment here that I think is very uncommon. It certainly didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. All ages clubs like Real Art Tacoma and Vera Project in Seattle are giving kids a space to create, for bands to play, and also for kids to go watch these bands play. On a good night, there may be 100 or 200 kids. Other times, it's just the bands and a few friends. And we've also got older bands, more seasoned and experienced players getting involved. It's not surprising to see bands and fans of all ages at the same show. And I've talked to bands that have toured through the Northwest. I've talked to bands from Seattle that come down and play in Tacoma. What I always hear is there's something special happening in Tacoma, at Real Art in particular. One factor is the Live It Out Loud program. It's like School of Rock, and it's all completely local. Kids join and form bands with their friends or sometimes complete strangers. They get coached and mentored by professional musicians. They play shows and ultimately record a song and maybe get a chance to film a video for it. This is huge. There are so many bands that have come from this program and are still active years later. So what else makes this area unique? Is it geography? I mean, Seattle is about an hour from Tacoma on a good day. Is it the weather? 6 to 8 months of cool, rainy, and dreary days certainly affect culture. It's all of these factors and more. So what about punk? If I'm covering these other genres too, why Grit City Punk? I believe, and through this podcast I hope to elaborate on this, that punk is not just a style of music or fashion. It's actually a state of mind, an ethos. It's a subculture, a community, a place for social outcasts and misfits to belong. The DIY values and practices of punk have influenced and informed virtually all genres. It's basically the standard business model for every independent band. So that's the point of this podcast, to explore the concept and definition of punk from as many perspectives as I can. I want to talk to musicians, artists, photographers, promoters, and fans. Music means so much to so many people, and everyone plays a different role and has their own story in this scene. I want to hear those stories, and I want to share those stories on this podcast. Of course, I'm also going to talk about music. Albums, singles, EPs, videos, whatever. Just think of this as a late-night variety show. So let's start off with some music. Let's talk about a few things that came out in November. Seattle area band Living with a Bear. They dropped a brand new album, which I believe is their first full length, called Grin and Bear It, with a cute little bear bat thing on the cover. Came out November 8th, and lead singles Enough, Don't Worry Darling. It's great. My first thought was, this sounds a lot like maybe Riot or All We Know Is Falling era Paramore, with a lot more socially conscious lyrics, a lot more mature lyrics. Great album. I highly recommend everybody, if you like punk, if you like emo, if you like kind of poppy punk, check it out. It's called Grin and Bear It, full-length album by Living with a Bear. Here's a song from it right here. The song is called Yet.
I feel so I thought I know by now. I still don't know who I wanna be, and I feel no closer than I did at 23. And I'm learning to live without a plan, and grab the moments of my life before they slip through my...
Another album came out in November from Tacoma band Milk Crate. This came out November 22nd, and this is a banger, guys. This feels so much in my wheelhouse. It's very, very grunge, very Tad, very Alice in Chains, grunt rock. Just, it speaks to my old soul of being a grunge fan. It's really heavy. The album is called A Space Between. Lead single was All the Lies, which you're going to hear throughout this podcast and probably upcoming podcasts, using little clips of it for transitionary music. So thanks, Milk Crate, for that. Anyways, hear for yourself. This is a song called Ballast. It's off of A Space Between from Milk Crate.
It feels like something is always wrong. You hope it's nothing, just carry on. Waves crash down on me again. Wave pulls me as I descend. Feels like it's the end. Go on, pretend. You fight for something that never comes, against the current as the river runs. Waves crash down on me again. Wave pulls me as I descend. Feels like it's the end. Go on, pretend. Waves crash down on me again. Wave pulls me as I descend. Feels like it's the end. Go on, pretend.
A few singles that came out also in November. Let's see here. We had Soda Cracker Jesus with the Dissonance Theory dropped a song called The Thought of Speaking. Portland band Amusement, they dropped a single called Holding On. They have an EP in the works, I guess, although it may be a vinyl only thing, or maybe that just might be UK. I'm not entirely sure. I'll find out more about that. Live It Out Loud program for 2024. The first band from this year to kind of break out and release a single widespread is Sinstem. They dropped a song called Schizophrenia. They also dropped a few weeks later a live version of it. Go check that out. Also, Portland homies Shell Shock, great hardcore band out of Portland. They dropped a single. A single is called Armed Not Ready. Great banger track. Newcomers, The Coolers from Tacoma, dropped an EP. They just kind of showed up and dropped an EP and hadn't heard of them before. I guess one of the members, the guitarist, I guess, is also in the band Slow End. They dropped an EP called Defroster. That's really good as well. I highly recommend all of these things. There's probably more out there I've missed, but those are the ones that caught my attention in the month of November. Okay, so who are you and what do you do?
My name is Phoenix Neville, and I am the bassist of Stargazy Pie.
All right, why do you do it? What is your motivation?
Friendship. Those guys, like, my motivation is making friends with them, and like, they're my best friends. I love making music with them, but I love the meeting new people with them and like just sharing our music with the world, but also going out and meeting people, seeing other bands, and just building that community.
What does punk mean to you?
Well, Stargazy Pie isn't quite punk, but to me, punk is the community and not just the style of music. It is knowing people, building that community of like the local house venues, and you'll see someone there and chat with them that you were like, hey, didn't I see you 3 shows ago at this other venue or something like that? And you can always, like, once you make those connections, you can always reach out and talk to people, and it's that shared interest bringing people together.
See, I love when people bring up the community aspect of punk because that's how I see it. It's not just the music. That's usually just kind of in the background. It's more about the community and like the state of mind, your
Yeah.
worldview, so to speak. Now, can you tell me a favorite experience of playing with Stargazy Pie?
One of my favorite experiences with Stargazy Pie is, it's kind of a general category, but all of the green room antics that we get up to with all the other bands and anyone else who's around, like playing more music at the more this last year. I mean, we did our tech rehearsal and our like first performance in the morning, but then everyone in the program, we were all hanging out backstage, like filming silly videos and just talking, noodling on our instruments together, and I think that is like one of my favorite parts of it.
Who else was on that bill with you?
See, we had Wyatt Silva, we had Welsh and Company, Alana Edwards, there was Jeraine, Isaiah. These were all like individual artists, and then that program was actually really fun because they were kind of drawing together individual artists and a few bands and then mixing and matching. Like, I ended up playing bass on a couple of Wyatt's songs and playing guitar with Kyra, who was a sitar player.
Oh,
And like, yeah, it was just it was a fun time.
yeah, that sounds rad. Do you have a favorite concert experience from watching another local band?
For another local band, I have to shout out Drivers for that one because they are such a fun show to watch, and it was like the show before Stargazy Pie got to play with them. Their lead singer had, I think it was at Gravel Pit. They had done something and messed up their leg, so they came out at the Real Art show that I watched, and it was like, "Hey guys, messed up my leg. Sorry about that. I might be sitting for part of this. Can't do everything that I want to do." But they still put on that great show, and everyone was like super happy with it. Everyone was super supportive, and I think that was my favorite.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm really bummed that I had to miss out on the drivers. There was a few shows at Real Art in the Gravel Pit that I wanted to go to, just couldn't make it work with the schedule, and well,
Yeah.
gonna be
Hopefully
waiting, I guess.
hopefully they'll be back 2026, I think. Maybe. Come on.
2026, year of the driver. Let's do
Yes.
it. So were you a music student?
Yes. I was taking private lessons at the age of 5 for guitar, but and then middle school did like concert band, jazz band all through high school, and then I went to one semester of college for music.
Oh, just one, huh?
Just the one. I realized I didn't really want to do the whole college thing, but it was worth a try.
Okay, that's fair. It's definitely hard.
Yeah, and a little expensive. I don't know
Very.
if I could have kept that up.
Yeah. How was that informed how you play with Stargazy Pie, and what are some similarities and differences between playing in concert band and in a rock band or jazz, for that matter?
One of the main parts that informs my playing with Stargazy Pie from that I picked up from more traditional music classes was the way to balance with a whole group. Like in concert band, we're always taught like what part, what section of the band do we want to accentuate in this movement, this phrasing of the song. And it's like, all right, the clarinets have the floor right now. Let's back up on everything else. And like you, while the conductor is kind of like gesturing for more or less, and like you have uh, your written notes and everything, you also can make that distinction of like, well, if the clarinets are the one that we're supposed to be like accentuating, let's all listen for the clarinets, and if you can hear them over what you're playing, then that's the right balance.
Right. It's kind of humbling in a
Yeah,
way of each individual musician is working for the service of the song of the whole band or the whole orchestra, and that kind of counters, I think, a lot of, well, with rock bands you can kind of get egos involved and stuff, and everybody wants to be the center of attention, everybody wants to be out there in front. People with a more musical background in like concert bands or symphonies tend to kind of know when to dial it back.
absolutely. Like as a bassist, I don't like always just playing quarter notes on the root of the chord, but sometimes that's what the song has to be.
Right.
Sometimes you gotta dial it back, let another part shine through, and actually like that can draw the audience in a little bit closer because you're leaving that space
Hmm.
for them to move in and actually focus.
So Stargazy Pie has a very, very distinct sound. Can you tell me a little bit about the songwriting process and how all the different pieces and all the different ingredients that make up Stargazy Pie come together to, well, to make a pie?
We got two schools of thought for our songwriting process. There's the Jack method and the Logan method. The Jack method is he'll come up with pretty much an entire song of like two verses, a chorus, and maybe a bridge if he wants to toss it in there, and it'll be the mostly the chords, some slight rhythm aspects, and then all the lyrics, or 75% of the lyrics done. He'll bring that to the group during a practice, and he'll play it for us, just him singing and acoustic guitar. And then inevitably Logan's going to be like, "Hey, let's try it on electric guitar," just because make it a little harder. And then we'll change around a few instrumentation things. I'd start adding a bass line, building that around the chord structure. And then so I was like, well, I could try this beat. And then Jack's like, I was visioning something a little bit more like cymbal heavy or something like that. And then it's bouncing back and forth after the initial song was brought to the floor. But that's very much taking a like very singer-songwriter song and then building around it to make it a Stargazy Pie song. But then the Logan school of thought, on the other hand, is a fully fleshed out instrumental song um, of like he has 3 layers of guitar parts recorded, plus a drum machine going for what he wants Sully to play, but it's got blast beats that are physically impossible to play.
Yeah, good luck with that, huh?
And then, yeah, we've told him multiple times that if Sully could maybe have a second person just playing the kick drum, that might work, but other times not really. Um, and then uh, he'll have a bass line, but no lyrics and um, not not a vocal melody to play. And most of the time, that's a pre-recorded thing that he made at home, and then he just sends it out to the group chat. But then from there, we kind of backtrack a little bit, take out a few things, kind of slim it down, and then rebuild it with some vocals and like slightly different parts uh, for that.
So I would assume Doritos Locos Taco Supreme is a Logan creation.
Yeah, it was a Taco Bell creation first, but then Logan got his hands on it.
Are you concerned of legal repercussions from that?
Well, we haven't heard anything yet. Maybe a sponsorship deal would be nice,
That
but
that would be cool. I mean, they
yeah,
do sponsor bands.
yep. Maybe when we eventually make it on tour, we'll call him up. Be like, "Hey, we've got this song. I
Yeah,
think you'll love it."
do a commercial. So Logan's getting all proggy with it and really coming up with intricate uh, compositions that you then have
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
reverse engineer to make an actual song with lyrics and whatnot.
Yes.
That's very interesting because yeah, there's definitely a singer songwriter aspect to a lot of the songs, and just in Jack's approach. And I don't know if I could tell which songs are which method for most of them, but I could definitely hear that there are definitely some moments, at least in songs, that are like, yes, this is Jack. He probably could just play that on acoustic guitar as a solo piece. And then the rest of you guys are a more like metalcore kind of approach to things, really heavy. You bring in some funk somehow, and that works.
Yep. Yeah. Give it your best guess for a Jack song.
I mean, Pacific Northwest Itis.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, that for sure. A thing I like to say when I'm telling people what Stargazy Pie sounds like, I like to say that there was 2 band practices going on in neighboring rooms, and somehow you guys ended up in the wrong, like Jack ended up in the wrong room, or you guys showed up in his room, and somehow, despite all logic saying this shouldn't work, somehow you guys made it work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we first started 5 years ago, I can't count. But when we first started, Jack was very much into like the Beatles, Taylor Swift, and all of that. Whereas I had been listening to like Tool for the last year and a half. Sully was still listening to Slipknot, and Logan was kind of all over the place, but kind of on like the heavier emo side and like Black Veil Brides and all of that.
That all makes sense.
And then now, I mean, after 5 years, we kind of swapped music taste enough that like that it's kind of all melded together into one soup of music.
Was there a specific band or a song that made you decide that music would be your path?
Not quite a specific band or song. I mean, I grew up on classic rock. That was what my dad listened to. That's what I listened to for the longest time when I first started playing guitar. But then I got to middle school jazz band. There's middle school jazz band again, and we played 25 or 624 by Chicago.
Chicago. Yep.
And
Classic.
I think that was like the mixing point of all of my interests into one. I'm like, this is perfect because it's got that classic rock, but then it's a or larger ensemble at least
Hmm.
in a school setting of like these are all my school friends and I get to play in a band with them, but playing this song that I really like. And I think that was kind of that was the realization point of like this is something I could do. This is something I could get behind.
So that was jazz band.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. My kids, both band kids, they always played that song in the marching band or for the pep band for the football games.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever played it in a jazz setting. I'd be interested to hear that.
It is very well oriented for a jazz setting. I mean, you got the horn section in the song and the way that we played it in jazz band, it was kind of it was our teacher's way of like our first introduction to improvisation.
Hmm.
And it was like, all right, we're going to play this song. There's this one section that is built for improv solos, and we're going to loop it as many
Hmm.
times as we need for each person in the band to get like a four measure quick little solo.
Okay, so it was a do the main riff of the song, get through a little bit of the song, and then a middle section of solos, and then what another pass at the riff to close it out.
Yep. And then
Okay,
that was how we played it.
okay. So tell me about some other local bands. You mentioned the Drivers. What are some other local bands that you're really into that you think people should check out?
Let's see. Well, I mean, Stargazy Pie, we have our sibling band Hot Stepmom. We played so many shows with them and we shout them out every single time. They're amazing. They came out of the same program that we did.
Hmm.
Um, Live It Out Loud at Ted Brown Music, if anyone's interested. Um, Most recently, I mean, a local artist, Wyatt Silva, like his music I really enjoy, and it's not 100% in a style that I listen to most often, but I love his writing, and I got to play a couple of his songs live with him, and that was a really fun experience. See who else do we have? It's the problem of like, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite band? And then all songs and bands go out of your brain and you
Right.
forget everything. We really enjoy the Tonins, like as a band, as Stargazy Pie. There's the Tonins around here. Unfortunately, they're also on hiatus from live shows, but they're still working on some recorded stuff. Definitely worth a listen. I really a band that I remember very distinctly was Batbox. They're they're a local band that I saw 3 years ago now at Real Art, but more of a ska type band, and it really blew me away that their like lead singer is also guitarist and he'll sing, reach down, pick up his trumpet, play a lick and or
Awesome.
like an entire solo section and then go right back into the song doing like that was a great show.
I
So
love
yeah,
multi instrumentalists. Uh,
absolutely.
has there been or will there be a moment where you pick up another instrument for Stargazy Pie? I saw you do the upright bass
Yes.
at the record release show. That was awesome. Can we expect any more moments like that, or maybe some percussion, guitar, anything else, or are you just
Solid
sticking to bass?
solid maybe, no promises. I write and record the keyboard parts for like the two songs that we actually used it on. But that's
What songs were those?
we had butterfly, hand grenade, and
Oh, okay.
I think I did some chords under angel.
Okay.
But those were both in ways that like I can't quite do the bass part and um and play the keyboard part at the same time. Like I could learn to do it both hands on the piano, but I am not not quite good enough yet at anything to play it live. I'll have to keep practicing on that one.
You could always invest in some Taurus pedals.
Actually, it is Cyber Monday after all. It's
Yeah.
I'll see what they have. There
Yeah,
was
get yourself the
also
whole Geddy Lee setup.
yeah, I mean he he is phenomenal. I aspire to be that good one day. Gotta keep working at it.
Yeah, no lie, Rush is one of the best bands to have ever done it.
Absolutely, yeah. There was a short period, maybe half a year, that we actually had one of Logan's friends from school. He was playing bass for us, and then I took over the rhythm guitar and solo like harmonies on solos. That was a fun time.
Interesting.
It's a little bit similar to bass that like I don't know, I enjoy bass a little more.
Yeah, that's your weapon of choice.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what's next for Stargazy Pie? What does 2025 look like for the band?
Well, I'm still working on editing our music video for Doritos Locos Tacos. That's a process. I haven't edited any videos on that scale before,
A
but
lot of special effects on that one.
not quite that. It's multiple cameras syncing that up, and
Mm,
then it's an entirely new process because I like I have a video set up and use it for live shows, but that can also like that can very easily be just a quick and dirty like chop chop chop. You cut a couple of clips together and toss it on an Instagram reel or TikTok or whatever. But the music videos like we want a polished product out of this. It is definitely a learning curve for that one. I've got about 80% of it done. Hopefully by January. I originally said mid-October. Sorry guys.
well, yeah. These things take time. You cannot rush this kind of process.
Yeah. And then other than that, hopefully we've been saying we want to get into the studio sometime over winter break. We got two singles, maybe a third that we want to get recorded. We've got Black and Blue and Defeatist. If you've been to some of the newer shows, I think we
Unfortunately, I have
started. That's all right. Um, we've started playing those maybe 2 months ago, and we're finally getting to the end of the writing phase. And we're like, let's get these recorded. They'll be put out as singles, so hopefully less wait time in between drops. I mean, Butterfly Hand Grenade to Pacific Northwestitis was a couple of years.
yeah, that was at least 2 years, right?
Yeah. And other than that, we've been reaching out to venues and festivals and everything, trying to build up our 2025 show calendar. But nothing too crazy, not going on tour or anything, sadly.
Is that something that you want to be doing soon,
Um,
or is it something that is not really in the forecast yet?
it's kind of a milestone goal. Like we aren't pushing super hard to get to it like before we know we're ready, but it's definitely something that we're looking at. We're like we want to get there eventually.
Okay, well, you touched on it, and I something that I didn't address yet: photography and film. That's
Yes.
another. Would you say? Seems like it's more than a hobby.
Yeah,
It's a
I
passion.
it is a passion. Not making any money off of it, definitely, but I really enjoy photography, and like I do it in my personal life. I take photos for friends. I take photos of other bands. Like taking photos for other bands. I mean, I'm already at the show. Why not? Every band loves to have pictures that they can put up on social media. And like, well,
Yeah.
if there aren't any other photographers, I'm already there. I'm gonna help everyone out. It's like my number one hobby other than music.
All right.
And there are definitely times I keep it well separated. I'm like, this is just me. I'm going out taking pictures, walking around Seattle or whatever. Um, but when I can mix those two together, it is really fun for me.
Any other projects, musical or otherwise, that you're involved in or looking to get started?
I don't know, might pick up a winter hobby, but that's still to be decided. Another project, not quite not quite a full project, but recently I helped out with some friends from college. Their band Tapwire, they needed a bassist for a show. I was like, well, I'm local. I can make the two practices that you guys have scheduled. So I went and helped them out. It's a little side thing of like, if anyone needs a bassist, I'll help out. Other than that, though, I mean, it's a kind of just work, music, and then when I have time and energy, I'll take some pictures.
Got to balance those obligations with the hobbies.
Yeah, because I mean, working working that 40-hour work week, and then I come home, got to practice, or I mean, band practice days, we spend 4+ hours together, and then still got to work on editing music video stuff or photo stuff, and got to find time for yourself sometime in there.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. I think that just about wraps things up. Thank you for being such a good sport. A little bit behind the curtain here. This is actually the second time we did this interview because the first time I forgot to record it. Um, is
It's
there
okay, I
anybody?
had some practice there.
Yeah, your answers were more thought out.
Exactly.
Uh, is there anybody or anything or anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to plug? Anything you want to let people know?
Well, Stargazy Pie does have a couple of shows coming up in December. We have one at the Skylark Cafe on Friday now, December 6th.
Okay.
Um, and then December 27th down at Real Art. We'll be playing with our best friend's hot stepmom down there.
Oh, awesome.
So, yeah, those are the immediate things. I think that's all we have on the horizon, though.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. And I
Yeah,
will
thank
be
you.
seeing you on the 27th for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Here is Stargazy Pie with Doritos Locos Tacos Supreme off their album Pacific Northwest Items.
The way
igniting my fire again. The flame in the ocean was not supposed to win, but here I am, burning it down, igniting my fire again. The flame in the ocean is not supposed to win, yet here I am.
I'm Raphael. I am a show manager at Real Art Tacoma, as well as a show photographer and a drag performer. It's nice having all ages punk spaces because I know when I was growing up, I had like supposedly all ages spaces that were not very safe. And so I like having certain places that is actually all ages that is actually safe, which is why I personally like working at Real Art. I also just really love the punk scene in general, especially like the hardcore scene, and I love performing alternative punk drag because the mainstream drag scene can be kind of frustrating to deal with, and so being an alternative performer is a lot better, at least for me. I like the aesthetic a lot more. It feels more genuine since I'm already a punk person.
Let's talk about the South Sound Music Fest. It happened at Real Art from December 13th to 15th. It was put together by a gentleman named Dalton from the band Rustin Way. I worked backstage, volunteered the shift on Friday, got to talk to a lot of the bands, got to see most of their sets. And I just want to say, good job, Dalton. Good job, Real Art. All the bands that were there. It was an amazing night. So shout out to all the bands that were there. Sue the Fish, Motormouth, Voodoo Sex Dolls, I Wish I Was a Punk Band, Shapeshifter, Jody Ellen, Forest Dogs. All you guys had killer sets. It was a blast, a lot of fun. I guess Saturday and Sunday were really good. I wasn't there. Really eclectic, really diverse bill for all 3 days. Just a really big stretch of genres, which is really cool and it's really fun to see. And I hope we get another fest like this soon, because it's a really good way to get exposed to new bands, new styles that you haven't heard before. It's a lot of fun. All right. Well, that's our show. Thanks everybody for listening. If you want to reach out, I'm on Instagram. Just look up Grit City Punk. If you want to check out videos from concerts I've been to, there's a few from the South Sound Music Fest that I uploaded. Look up UGT Pod on YouTube. It's all in the link tree in my Instagram as well, and also in the show notes here. If you want to buy merch from any of the bands, look them up. Milk Crate has shirts, CDs, vinyl, all that stuff on their website. I want to say thank you to the Rat Utopia Experiment for allowing me to use their song Part Whole as the intro music. Also to Milk Crate for allowing me to use their music throughout. Special shout out to Regan for all the advice and good talks. Thank you to Tom, Dan, Raph, and everyone else at Real Art for putting up with me and for all the good advice and guidance. And thank you to Phoenix for being on the show as my first guest. So thank you for listening, everyone. And I don't know if this is going to be weekly, bi weekly, monthly, but you'll find out when it hits your feed. Subscribe to this, and you'll find the new episode when it hits your feed. So thanks once again for listening, and please go to shows, show up for these bands, buy their merch, tell your friends, engage on social media, spread the word. Let's get these bands all the attention they deserve. And I'm going to send us out of here with a song from Tacoma band Morning Glory. This song is off their first 3 songs demo on Bandcamp. This song is called Real Punk Rockers.
This has been a Jiggle Down Productions production.
I'll do it like the Disney Channel intros. Yeah. What's up, guys? I'm Phoenix, and you're listening to Grit City Punk.